Welcome to MacroCode. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing and watching our previous videos. So today we are going to do something small on APIs. So if you are new to this channel, consider watching our previous videos on minimal APIs. So on our today's video, we are going to understand how to test API using Postman. So testing is a critical part of an API development process. And you can create a collection that contain your API test and link it to your API. So I've installed my Postman. So you can actually install just Google Postman and you can download it, then install on your application. So to start with, I already have my API here. So if you don't know how to create minimal APIs, then consider watching our previous videos on how to create minimal APIs. But for testing today, you are going to use these API that we created to actually do some tests using Postman. So as you can see, this is our API. We have the post method, the get method, which we pass an ID. You can update the record using the put method, then the delete method. So to start, we are going to open our Postman. Then we are going to create a new collection. So collections lets you group related requests and make them easier to access them. So we'll just click on this icon, new. Then we can rename our collection here. You can say API tests. Then after we have done that, we can create a new request. So you can add a request. Then based on our API, so we are going to create our first request, which is to add a student. So we'll take this this link, then we are going to paste it here. Then to access our method, we are going to do add a student. So we'll do add, then student. Then our method is a post. So if you come to Postman, you'll see there's a collection of methods. So we are going to choose post. Then we need to pass the that is the payload. So if you come to the parameters, we are passing a JSON to our API. So if you come here, you'll come to authorization. So we don't do any authorization. So you can say no authorization. So this will this request does not require any authorization. Then on the headers, we don't have anything. Then on the body, we are going to send a JSON data in JSON. So click on the row, then under this section you select JSON. Then you can be able to paste this as payload for hours from the Swagger. So you can see it is requiring an ID, first name and last name. So if we put the first name as, so you can just even remove this and we say we are posting James Opio. So this is our method. So if we click on send, it is supposed to insert the data to our SQL database. So you can see we have our database for minimal API and we have a table for students. So if we just see what is there, we have three records. So if we just click send, so you can see our API has gone through successfully. We have a status 200. This status, as you can see, it shows that it is actually a standard response for successful HTTP request. And it has given us it has posted our record and given us the list of records in the database. So you can see we have James Opio, Vincent Wambua, and MacroCode. So if we just execute the records here, you can see we have James Opio, so it has already saved our record. So on this record, we can actually rename our request here. We can say add student. So this is our request. So this is our first request, and we can actually still, if we do another post, it will insert again and give us another. You can also change the record. that is the name, Vincent. You can say Arun. Then you can post it. Sending the request, you can see it has given us the response. So the response is in JSON format. So it is also, you can also see the formats of the response. And if you do that, it will be able to change to text and XML based, HTML, auto. So it is able to detect. So that is it. So our next request, we have done an insert through the Postman. So we'll do a get method. So for the get method, we will change our method to student. So let's add another request. So we'll add another request. So then we can copy our link because the link is the same. Then on this request, you can do, so it is requiring only the link, then the get. So from our Postman, you can see it is only students. So if we send this request, authorization, we don't require any authorization. The body, as you can see, the row, it is empty. So if we send this, you can see it has given us the list of students. So this request for hours is now get students. So it has retrieved all the students from the database, which are actually like 6 records. So our next update, our next method is get a student by an ID. So we can add another request. So that request will be get student by ID. So we'll copy this, then paste the link here. So we need to paste. So from this method, you see it requires an ID of the students. So if we come to our previous section, let's see if we can retrieve the student Harun Opio with an ID 6. So if you come here, we just do this and you pass the ID of the student. The method is, you should also ensure that the method is a get method. Then you send. So you can see it has only retrieved one record with an ID 6. So if you change here to 4, it has given us that. If you change it to 5, it will retrieve the record based on the ID. What if we say 10 or 50? An ID that doesn't exist. You can see the student not found. So we don't have that as student. So if we can do 2, you can see we have the student with an ID 2. So our next method is to do an update. So we will be using an update. So this is our payload again. So for an update, we can add another request. We can say update. We call this request update student. So that is it. So we can copy the get student by ID, then paste it here. So for our method, it requires an ID with the updated details. So what we'll do, we want to update. So a student with ID 2 is Vincent Wambua. So we don't require any authentication. Then our body row, then you select JSON, then you paste this here. So our ID will be 2. Then remember we are changing the details of the student. So this should be the update student. So you don't require any authentication, body row, then JSON, then you paste this there. So this is 2, then we say Paul Karanja. So remember our ID, our student is Vincent Wambua. So if we run this update, it will update our student to Paul Karanja. So the method is a put. So we have to change this to put. Then if we send this, you can see it has gone through and retrieved the records. So you can see we have the record with ID 2 is now Paul Karanja. So it has updated our data from Vincent Wambua to Paul Karanja. Our next update is on students delete. So we'll create another request. Then you can call this delete student. So we can copy this here, delete student. Then our method will be delete. Then authorization, we don't require any authorization. Then the payload, we need only an ID. You can see, we just passed an ID. Then we want to delete our student with ID 2, which was Paul Karanja. So if we execute this, you can see it has deleted Paul Karanja. Paul Karanja is not in our list. So if we pass number 6, it should delete Arun Opio. So if we do that, it has deleted. If we pass number 5, it will delete James Opio. You can see the records is actually decreasing. So we can delete the number 4. It will remove and we only remain with macro code. So you can see that is how you test APIs. So if we do currently like 80, an ID that doesn't exist, you can see it will give us a status 404. So the request resource could not be found, but may be available again in the future. And we have a message from the API, the students not found. So if we do number 5, so what was our macro code ID is number 3. So we can, if we do number 3, it will give us, it will go then return an empty list. You can see it has returned an empty list. It has now deleted all our records in the database. So if we just execute this, we'll be able to see we don't have any record in our database. So in our collections now, we have all the methods. So if we just come to our collections, if you do that, you'll be able to see all the requests that you have done. Add student. If we execute, it will be able to go through and give us one of the student. If we run the get edit, we're able to get that student. If we want to get by an ID, we pass the ID number here, which is 7 currently. If we run it, you're able to get it. If we want to update, we can update our ID number 7 with Paul Karanja. So you can see it has updated, and you can now delete our record number 7. Then it is done. So that is how you do testing of APIs using Postman. So if you liked our video, remember to subscribe and watch our previous videos on how to create minimal APIs and even Blazor CRUD operations. See you in our next video.